since retirement, I've been on this 8-year brain health journey to research what had happened to me. And when I got better, I always thought like my life's journey could be bringing something forward that could help alleviate suffering in both the concussion world and the mental health space in general.
Welcome to the My Future Business Show, where we get you in front of your best audience and keep you there. Not only are we interviewing the biggest names in business to help you become even more successful, we're inviting you to book your spot on the show to help you grow your business. So at the end of the call, make sure you fill in the interview application form at myfuturebusiness.com/interviews.
Hi and welcome back to the My Future Business Show. My name's Rick Nusky. I am your host. I'm also the luckiest person today because I have the opportunity to talk to the wonderful Daniel Carcillo. Welcome to the show, Daniel.
Thanks for having me, Rick.
Absolutely, my pleasure. Now, just for context, we're going to be talking about your experience winning the coveted NHL Stanley Cup, your 10-year career in that particular industry as a professional sportsman, and we're going to be talking about how you founded and as the CEO of Wasana organization to talk about data-driven life sciences and the journey as pioneers in drug development and therapies for mental health care. Now, that's one hell of a mouthful to get out all in once. So I'm glad I got really good lungs.
Yeah, buddy. Let's take a deep breath before you start that sentence.
Well, again, you've had a long and illustrious professional career. I'd love to take a bit of a deep dive into that in a while, as well as obviously Wasana and all the amazing things that they're doing with the healthcare and mental health that you're involved with. But before we do any of that, it's usual for us, Daniel, to spend some time learning a little bit about you. So where are you calling in from today?
I'm based in Florida now. Just moved here recently from Chicago and originally from just outside of Toronto, Ontario, Canada.
Yeah, fantastic. Now, when you were growing up, where was that? Do you recall?
So King City, Ontario. I left home, I've been in America for the most part, pretty full time, 8 months on, since I was 19 when I turned pro.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic. Now, let's talk about that because I'd love to talk a little bit about your hobbies and sports. I know that your professional career has ceased, and we're going to be talking about that. But what do you do nowadays? Do you still keep active? Is sports and hobbies important for you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Big time. It's one of the big reasons we moved down to Florida so that we can be active all year round. I have 3 young kids under the age of 7 and just trying to keep up to my, no doubt, trying to keep up to all 3 of them, especially my 7-year-old boy, Austin Wolf. And, it's fun. We're able to enjoy the outdoor rink here. There's 2 roller rinks right down the street. Got a nice little skate park, basketball court, racquetball. He's in soccer. He's in golf. So we're all really happy that we made the decision to come down here.
Excellent. Now, it's funny how your life transitions away from everything that you want to aspire to achieve to those of you, especially 7-year-olds. They tend to have this persistence about them, don't they?
Oh, big time. Yeah, it takes a lot of energy to keep up with them, especially after the long work days that we've been putting in, but try to set aside everything for them after 6 o'clock. And it's just nice to watch him grow. And he's been ripping around some electric dirt bikes here. You can't really, ride 2-strokes. The neighborhood we live in, we used to have 5 acres and a nice little pond, and he used to, ride a 2-stroke 4-wheeler. But he's got a little band of bros here, so it's pretty great. Everybody's always coming by and knocking on the door, and couldn't be happier for the home we've been able to create here so far.
Well done. Excellent. Thank you for sharing. Now, with, the things that you have done in your life, do you think your discipline is rubbing off on your children?
Yeah, I think I would hope so. I think there's a couple rules when you come in our house and, you close the doors behind you and you take your shoes off and you pick up after yourself. And, I think one of the things I try to instill in my kids that can be done in life in general is just attention to detail, and anything you do, you do it with purpose. And so I think that some of the stuff that I've learned through sport and that I continue to do in my daily life is starting to rub off. So it's nice to see.
So tell us a little bit about, I guess, your professional sporting background. I can see some wonderful cups behind you there, and I know that
Oh, yeah.
you've been involved very, very deeply, and I'm very, very super impressed to have you on the show to talk about this. Could you share a little bit about your journey there?
Yeah, for sure. I moved away from home at 15 years old when I made a
Hmm.
decision to really take a good swing at it. And in Canada, it's a little bit different, the development path of a young man who's trying to turn pro in hockey. You don't necessarily take the NCAA or college route if you want to fast track pro. You can turn pro right out of high school, which is
Yep.
something that I did.
Hmm.
So I got drafted to a league called the Canadian Hockey League, and in the sixth round. And then a year and a half later, I was drafted to the NHL at 17, turning 18, after moving away from home, 3 hours away. And then I found myself, just continuing to apply myself to everything I did, including school. And then, before you sign a pro contract, you have a decision to make, and you give up kind of that university eligibility in
Hmm.
Canada. And thought I was in a good position to do that. Got drafted 73rd overall in the world and just wanted to give it a good shot. And
Yeah.
so graduated high school, signed pro, and turned pro at 18, turning 19, and spent about a year and a half in the AHL, which is the developmental league, albeit professional, and you're on your own doing your own laundry, and you grow up pretty quick.
Yeah, I bet.
And then I spent my 20-year-old to 30-year-old age playing in the NHL and against the best hockey players in the world, and was lucky enough to go to the Stanley Cup Finals 4 times with 5 different teams, winning twice. Fought over 164 times in the enforcer role, and was able to garner 100 points over my career. So I was somebody that tried to do it all, but in hockey, it's if you mess around, there has to be somebody to respond, and
Yep.
that's just part of my nature. You can't take advantage of the loved ones and my
Hmm.
my teammates, and that's something that certain guys have to step up and answer the bell to, and that was part of my job.
Yeah, fantastic feedback. Thank you very much. Now, I know as a young man coming into a high pressure role like that, I know that we talk a bit about, in fact, a lot about doing the things you love to do. Now, what was driving you? What was your motivation at the time? I know that you had an aspiration to do it, but how did you, I guess, what was motivation for you at that time, and how was the pressure? Did you deal with it okay?
Yeah, I mean, I thought I did throughout my career, and then I think you look back after you deal with certain, physical traumas, emotional traumas that
Mm.
maybe didn't sit well with you, and you couldn't really recognize at the time, because once you're in it, especially in that environment, any sign of weakness per se, and back in my day when I started in the NHL, this is pre-Twitter, pre-Instagram, when everybody was talking about mental health. It really did feel like some sort of weakness if you talked about it. So the way that we would mask it, and I wasn't the only one, is with alcohol and with opiates and muscle
Yep.
relaxers and
Hmm.
pills and Cortisol and all of the different things that could help you get through the pain. Because the reality is we played an 82 game schedule over 185 days, and
Wow.
a lot of travel, and you're always constantly in pain. It's funny when you go to training camp, that's when your body starts breaking down. So that ended up manifesting. I went through some a pretty rough period when I moved away from home from like 16 to 17 during my draft year, and that really turned me into this kind of altered person, if you will, or alter ego
Yep.
that I think you see manifest on the ice, which is my nickname was Car Bomb, and
I
again,
was going
just
to
very
ask you about
unpredictable.
that.
Yeah, just extremely unpredictable, but it was also a weapon, that I knew that teams liked and that guys liked, to be honest, because I didn't play a full skill game. I can play on the first line, but again, if anybody tried to mess around with guys that they didn't know or that they knew couldn't fight, well, I'd be coming over the boards next. And I was the type of guy that if you were bigger than me, I would probably lead with my stick, to try and win you and get the
Yeah.
advantage. And then I would follow that with my fists, and so I think it just kept a lot of people in check. But looking back on it now, I could see that there was maybe a little boy in there that was crying out for help, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm loving this story so far. I'm wondering, what's a daily routine look like for you? Did you take a bit of the discipline away from those rigorous training days into your life today?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I think that hockey players don't really realize how special we are because
Mm.
when we leave the game, and this was my situation, I felt completely broken. And then because of the symptoms that were froth in my life because of the traumatic brain injuries and hits to the head and the body that I sustained,
Yeah.
I had a hard time like just managing simple tasks, and so. I really had to, dive in and do the research as to why this was going on. But I think being diligent, number one, having a really hard work ethic, like that's one thing that my parents instilled in me from an early age, and hardworking Italian people, and is just you work harder, you outwork your competition. And every day I try to wake up and I do that. I try to entrepreneur them, if you will, and just outthink them, and because hockey, there's, 10 guys on the ice moving at 35 miles an hour, and then you got to put a little rubber puck to spaces where people are going to be, not where they
Mm.
are. And then you got to beat a goalie. And then you're doing this when there's no out of bounds, there's nowhere to go unless you're going to make a change, and you got to protect yourself at all times and not get your head taken off. You have a lot of foresight into understanding and just thinking and problem solving really, really fast. And so that's what I think entrepreneurship is. And that's why I think, some athletes are able to manage a lot of spinning plates. And I'm grateful for that lesson and the attention to detail, especially because that really lends itself to the life science business in Wisana that I'm doing now. And there's just a lot of things to manage. And then people, right? People is sometimes the biggest currency. And I know how to get along with Swedish people, Finnish people, Russian people, Slovenian
Yes.
people, Canadian people,
Very important.
US people. Yeah, I just met so many different people in my life. So yeah, extremely, extremely grateful. And I've taken a lot of skills from hockey and from my former professional career and applied them here to entrepreneurship. And we saw them most definitely.
So we're going to pivot away from that a moment because I always love to get a bit of, I guess, your personal life. What sort of music do you like listening to?
Oh yeah, man. Well, I got, Led Zeppelin here.
Yeah, no, I saw that and I thought I have to ask you, where did you get
Yeah,
that?
buddy. I'm looking at a bunch of records. Well, I've always wanted it. I've always wanted that particular photo, and my wife
It's
surprised me.
fantastic.
Yeah, thank you for my 37th birthday. And I'm a simple man with simple pleasures. I like my vinyl and I like my classic rock. And yeah, I love my Led Zeppelin for sure.
There's just something warm and inviting about a vinyl, isn't there, over digitized
Oh,
music? You can't
it's the
compare it, can you?
best. No, it's the best. I've got over to the left, I've got a Gretsch and a bass guitar signed by Rush and a few other acoustics, and then I stare at vinyl every day. I've got them built
Yeah.
in my collection. I've got about 3 or 4 thousand. I used to do a radio show at WGN in Chicago, so kind of had my pick of the litter. But yeah, there's nothing like putting on vinyl and sitting back and not being
Yeah.
able to essentially press next.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you for sharing this. Just this window, I think, is what makes the My Future Business Show so different, so special, because we actually talk a little bit about you as well as business, which you're obviously going to do a lot more about in a moment. Now, when you were playing hockey, it was very, I guess, aggressive, call it what you will, very power oriented. How do you find yourself today? Do you find that you are generally more calm and relaxed and happy to be you in the place you are right now?
Yeah, I mean, I've always been like a generally calm guy, pretty easy going off the ice. When people meet me, they're like, "Wow, you're really nice and low key, and we didn't think that of you because the way you play the game." So I've always sort of been this way. I haven't had this like close relationship with myself that I have now, which this medicine has allowed me to create.
Hmm.
To your point, I really do love myself, and I can then love others more deeply. My wife, my kids, my family, my
Yeah.
friends. So it's been a nice change over the last, call it, 3 years, 4 years of really being on this brain health journey and rediscovering, who I am and my worth. And all that matters is, how I view myself, right? I say this a lot. We all go to bed essentially alone, right? Whether we're married or not, and whether our kids are in the bed, we go to bed alone with our thoughts. And I think that we have to, recognize and be comfortable with who we are, and then you're comfortable in any situation, and that really spills out, into everything you do: work, relationships, fun, hobbies, whatever may have you. So
Yeah,
yeah, I'm
fantastic.
pretty happy right now for sure.
Excellent, excellent. Now, I know that we all have people around us as we're growing up, and you would have had several, I would have thought, that played somewhat of a mentor role, coaching roles for you. How important were they, and can you recall what difference they've made to you, not only in your professional hockey life, but now in business?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think the foundation of who I am and my experiences as a young man come from the household I grew up in, and my parents and my two brothers,
Mm.
Paul and Steve, and were just, really amazing people, and showed me a way to create a foundation of how you're supposed to treat people. Say please, you say thank you, and you're grateful for what you have, and even the little things that you have. I'm not the type of guy that takes pleasure or gains his happiness from, necessarily purchasing things. And so I appreciate that. And then I had a really influential coach growing up in Double A, in Rob Gibb, who I'll never forget, and just
Mm.
instilled that type of work ethic and really confidence, because my parents weren't overly communicative in that manner. And he was. He saw something in me early on. I had a teacher named Miss McCammon who saw the same thing, who I'll never forget. I think she was my grade two or grade three teacher. And when you remember somebody like that so young, you don't quite remember all of the lessons, but
No.
the feelings.
Yep, yep.
And then I would say my professional career, well, growing up, Coach Gilbert was really great to me in Mississauga and in junior. And then I had Steve Monador, who came into my life at 25. When I was in Chicago, I was newly sober, and he was 7 years into living a happy and fulfilling life. And he just took me under his wing and showed me that I could do that too. And, I'll never forget, I wish that he was still here with us.
Yep.
He was a big catalyst for me retiring, and also, starting Wisana and making sure that we need to support people that have had numerous traumatic brain injuries. And so, yeah, those are the ones that are definitely front of mind right now for sure.
So the student becomes the master ultimately as time goes by. Do you find yourself, has your role changed, and others looking to you now?
I don't know. Maybe,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and, to the right of me and to the left of me, over my left shoulder and right shoulder, are books,
Yep.
and I read a lot, and I try to gain knowledge every single day and try to better myself when time permits. And I'm hoping that I can emulate something that people want to be. That's not the purpose or the reason I live my life.
Mm-hmm.
But, I was in a really, really dark place, and this medicine helped me, along with all of the skills that I acquired, and the diligent efforts that I've made to invest in myself, not only money, but some of the most precious things on this earth, or the most, which is time.
Yep.
That really helps to change, who you are. And I'm the type of person that I don't like. I'll describe myself to you in this interview this week, and hopefully I'll be different next.
Next week, yeah.
Yeah, I just want to keep growing and gaining knowledge, and be a symbol of hope that you can get extremely dark. And I think a
Yeah.
lot of my followers know how dark it got, and then now you can get better. You can definitely get better and be the best version of yourself for sure.
You have the option to make a choice, don't you? Now, you seem like you're in a very good place now. Can we talk momentarily a little bit about, I guess, your first entrepreneurial journey? Your
Yeah.
first entrepreneurial experience.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely on a big level, like managing people. I started out with like a studio rank and owning that, and doing something in what I thought I could only do, right, is like teach hockey and teach what I know. And
Mm-hmm.
then I moved out of that, and, founded Wisana from a personal journey. Since retirement, I've been on this 8-year brain health journey to research what had happened to me and then how I can get better. And that brought me across, advanced diagnostics and functional neurology, the best neurologists in the world, and the best doctors in the world, and some holistic tools like float tanks and hyperbaric chamber, and changing your diet and optimizing your sleep, and natural remedies, unnatural remedies, pharmaceuticals, you name it.
Wow.
And then I found, something that really accelerated my healing when done with intention, and a lot of, I call it being coachable, and direction, and taking direction. And then number one, asking for help when I knew that I was close to being hopeless and pretty suicidal. That's when my life started to really turn around, when I surrendered. And when I got better, I always thought like my life's journey could be, bringing something forward that could help alleviate suffering in both the concussion world and just the mental health space in general, because there's just not enough. And so, I definitely am the type of person that I don't speak about it unless I do it. And I have to speak about it through my experience. And then hopefully if you like what you hear or see, you'll go try it yourself. But I encourage you to do your own research. And, luckily I found this recovery with the active ingredient in magic mushrooms, which is psilocybin. And I was able to, get healthy enough over a 6-month period and do tests on myself, on my brain and my blood to prove that. And then grateful to have some people come into my life who are drug developers that are helping me move through the FDA process to create what could be the first FDA-approved pharmaceutical for traumatic brain injury that, has little to no abuse liability and little to no side effects, that I think could be an absolute game changer for people that are suffering.
Yeah, very exciting. I think the world in general and at large are changing their views on what, things that may have, I guess, historically be seen as, illicit drugs and, for hippies, if you like. But now it's not like that, is it?
No, I mean, I think you just have to step back and ask yourself, right? We get inundated with these messages every day. And why is it that some of the Schedule 1 substances include cannabis that grows in most ditches in most states naturally, and that we've obviously evolved with because we have an endocannabinoid system in our body that gets activated by taking these cannabinoids. And then, these magic mushrooms that, let you access parts of your brain that aren't communicating properly and have this neuroplastic effect and allow you to better problem solve and have better access to language, etc. And it's really a locking key to serotonin. So it's something that I believe we've evolved with as well. And these two compounds are scheduled, so it just makes it harder to research, but nonetheless, I think we're all reverting back to something that not necessarily has failed everyone, but have put some people, it just hasn't worked for 30 to 40% of the population that try antidepressants and SSRIs and these inhibitors. So I think there's a different way, a new way, but you have to, research that and be really diligent and with scientific rigor, bring it through the most rigorous process on earth, which is the FDA, and develop something that could be prescribed by a doctor so you know exactly what you're going to get and people can have access to it, and then insurance companies can reimburse people for it. So you're not paying out of your pocket for cash and wondering what you're getting from, possibly the guy on the corner
On the
or
corner,
the guy
yeah.
on your street, So, I think there's a lot of factors of why it's so stigmatized, but that's also why we're hopeful through our work and the work of people like Mike Tyson and Juliana Pena, that we can show through the athletic platform that speaking about mental health, number one, doesn't have to be stigmatized, and these psychedelics can definitely have a really positive impact on your life.
You talk about Mike Tyson, and you've got other investors in this early stage startup. Now, tell us a little bit about, I guess, some of the caliber here, because I think that's quite important. If these people who are, they're very well known, if they're on board, what does that say about the industry, the potential? do you think?
Yeah, I think the potential is pretty clear. The early data and the fact that psilocybin specifically has been designated FDA breakthrough designation for two different companies, and
Mm.
the largest human trial in a 2B trial has shown decent efficacy and safety for treatment-resistant depression. I think we're all there now. It's just a matter of, really shepherding this along the right way. But to get Mike's endorsement, because we are working with, traumatic brain injury related symptoms,
Mm.
is something that was really important for us early on and continues to be. We've had some great support from, K2 and Adrian Moranti and Cody Chandra, Michael Sobek and Aaron Robb from Ambria Capital and, JLS Fund and ITER. And there's been a lot of people like Andy DiFrancesco and Soul Global that have really supported us early on. And we're at a stage now where we've been executing so well. We just communicated with the FDA in our pre-IND meeting, and we've got a really defined pathway forward to what could be regulatory approval and the first of its kind for something that could also be self-administered and live on your counter that is non-hallucinogenic or subperceptual. So I think that's a game changer, and that differentiates WeSana from everybody else. And it always goes back to the team. This mission got started from my personal story, but we have people like my CSO, Mark Wingertson, who's been able to, with his team, Jeffrey and Stacy, put this into a model that the FDA accepts, and that's tremendous. And so I'm grateful for everybody that's really pulling the rope in the right direction.
Yeah, I've just noticed. I mean, how long's this been going for now, the WeSana startup?
Just about a year and a half, a little bit
Mm.
over a year and a
Yep.
half. Yeah,
Time
so
flies, doesn't it?
yeah, we've been able to do a lot in a short period of time, and we'll continue to. And we like to run a lean ship,
Hmm.
and no drama, and just head down,
Get it
high
done.
metabolic rate of work, yeah, and get it done for the people that need this, and we need this to come to market as quickly as possible, because our reality too is, men my age and TBI sufferers, specifically the number one cause of death is suicide. So I think that if you can have something that doesn't exasperate the suicidality of dealing with some of these mental health complications, it could be extremely meaningful. So we should shepherd it along as diligently and quickly as possible.
Absolutely. You can just see the potential for the various injuries, vehicle-related traumatic injuries, and, the list would go on and on and on. Now, earlier you touched on, I guess, the importance of your team. You clearly know exactly what you're talking about just by the way we've spoken today, and I really appreciate you opening up. But could you tell us a little bit about the professionals that are around you that form your team?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'll start with Mark Wingertson, our CSO. It's just been a phenomenal, a phenomenal person to work with, and I've
Mm.
gotten to know him and built a really strong friendship with him and his son Tyler and
Yep.
his whole family, and Jeffrey Jewell and Stacy Abbey, who came on and really supported Mark, and I mean, these are people that left their big pharma jobs with companies like GSK to come and help this mission, and they didn't have to. But I think they saw the potential in it, and I'm indebted to them to getting to this point. And we just have, a really great working relationship, and I feel grateful that he came into my life. And, along this way, we've been able to purchase clinics as well. So Abid Nazir and Meghna Gaidar, CMO and Chief Medical Officer, and Abid have worked diligently to get our clinics to capacity and are serving people now, boots on the ground, helping people with depression, bipolar, addiction. So that's really meaningful. And we have 2 clinics operating in Illinois, and then a third that's opening now, which will be, our largest facility to date at 3,000 square feet, serving FDA-approved ketamine,
Hmm.
TMS, advanced diagnostics, as well as, that community aspect of group therapy and DBT. So we're really proud of that. And then early people like Chad Bronstein and Aristotle Loomis, and that really helped me I think dig out who I am and the person that could be as far as an entrepreneur, and really helped shape me into somebody that I can be proud of, and really helped me with like the execution part of,
Mm.
sitting in front of a computer and showed me how to get it done,
Yep.
and really opened up their whole Rolodex, and trusted me with that. So, thank you to them, and lots of love for everybody, from our team to investors. Really, it's been a really amazing year and a half, and I'm just excited for this year, to get hopefully into a investigational new drug application with the FDA. Is a really big accomplishment in a short amount of time, and there's more work to be done, and just excited to continue hitting these milestones.
Yeah, fantastic. You've touched a little bit about your projections and what's going to happen in the business now from an investor's perspective. I'm wondering, if that were me, what are you doing in, I guess, the next 6 months to get more traction?
Yeah, so constantly, serving patients in
Mm.
Illinois and at capacity and long wait lists. So, we had to go and build a new facility, and that'll be
Hmm.
open May 1, which we're really excited about. So
Very good.
everybody will hear more there. And then the drug development side to the business is really where, we have an opportunity to continue to shepherd along this novel, method of use and
Hmm.
protocol to help millions and millions of people. So, we're looking at, a TAM of about 6 million people every year, and TBI-related MDD. The broader MDD, major depressive disorder population, is over 284 million people.
Wow.
And we communicated with the FDA in our pre-IND meeting the last year. We've really been focused on, one thing that you have to do with them is gather information, right? And not just anecdotal stories and
No.
QEEGs and blood work. You have to put what worked for me and what I've seen work for hundreds of thousands of others, not seen, but read, and tens of thousands for sure.
Yeah.
You just have to put it into an FDA validated model,
Yeah.
right? With a
Yeah.
third party independent lab. And we did that, and we showed really good efficacy with the synthetics that we're using, because you have to use that. You have to be within a 0.1% variance when you want to develop medicine for millions of people.
Hmm.
And then, we put that into a deck and we communicate that to investors, and you raise the money to continue on this path. We've had a lot of people lucky enough to support us. And then we got this to a position where we were ready to make this presentation. We made the presentation to the FDA. We had a pre-IND meeting and a written response, which is a really good sign.
Yep.
And they communicated some really great things about our program, and they accepted, a 505 2B pathway for CBD, and they understood the need for getting this medicine into a broader population in an accelerated manner, and we'll be able to speak about that some more
Yep.
here in the near future. And yeah, we're just on a really defined pathway forward, and one of the very few companies that has taken the time to be diligent enough and do the research and collect the data necessary to be able to have positive feedback, and then well on our way to finish what's called a farm tox program. So you essentially continue on with some animal work before you get the green light to look into human for an IND opening study with the FDA, which will happen, it is on track for Q4 of this year. So all of that being said, happy to, be on this path and have accomplished what we've accomplished thus far. But like I said, here's the hockey player brain. You wake up every day and you want to do better, and you want to do more. And there's still lots of work to do, but we're really excited about the potential.
Yes, thank you so very much for providing some insights. There's going to be a lot of people on this call very excited to see what's happening with Sana Health. Now, very importantly, now people are going to want to find out more. If they do want to do that, where are they actually going to go to connect with you?
Yeah, so they can go to www.wesanahealth.com. We just recently got our new website up and running, so
Beautiful.
shout out to Magna and Alex and Efren and the whole marketing team. And we're on Instagram, we're on Twitter, we're on LinkedIn. I'm personally on Instagram at Daniel Carcillo 13, Daniel Carcillo on LinkedIn. And you can find out more about, the program and our timelines and exactly what we're using because, as I said, our company is really differentiated in the way that we use a high dose of psilocybin, which will be done with supervision in a clinic, but we also have a continuum of care, something that is an add-on to what we call an on-loading dose that basically wakes the brain up and initiates the serotonin system and then continues on with a chronicity of therapy that is a microdose or a subperceptual, non-hallucinogenic, self-administered dose at home of psilocybin in combination with the only patented neuroprotectant on earth, which is CBD. So, yeah, lots of
Fantastic.
hope.
There, this is a very exciting topic, and I wish you all the very best. Now, if you're on the call today and you're interested in this, you think there's a good fit for you, either as an investor or somebody who's just interested in this for your personal mental health or whatever it may be, reach out to the team with Daniel. And I'm looking at your team on the website now, which is a beautiful looking website, I say, at Wesana Health, which is WESANA health.com. I'll be making sure that link is available to you below this post. No matter where you see this call, you'll see that link. And with all that, Daniel, thank you so very much for joining me on the My Future Business show today.
Yeah, brother. Thanks for having me, man.
Thanks for joining us today. If you enjoyed the call, then make sure to subscribe, leave a comment, share us with your friends, and book your spot on the show at myfuturebusiness.com/interviews. And if you're looking for solutions that will help grow your business, then visit myfuturebusiness.com/shop.